does the union do for you, and what's the benefit of being a union member?
Well, I think, you know, unions were basically born out of, if I have my history correct, abuses by the businessmen of the worker. And the Guild is no exception to that. I mean, Screen Actors Guild is no exception to that. It was born out of a need to make working conditions better, to have a value put on our skill, and to create this entity of power equivalent to that entity that those many entities that hire us. For me, it's a tremendous amount of pride to be part of something like that, to be part of a community of my fellow performers who have made it this far. You know, that moment of getting in the Guild for me was just like, now I'm really a pro. You know.
Well, it's a testimony to survival and toughness too. I think about some of the folks that I started acting class with 35 years ago, and only a few of us are still doing this. And
it's true.
I'd like to see obviously I'd like to see a more arts-friendly country, but it does get back to what you just said. I remember meeting an older man at a coffee shop across the street, and he told me that he'd been an extra in the Errol Flynn Robin Hood. And I said, so tell me about it. And he said they made about $7 a day, a sack lunch. He had to wear a bamboo vest under a tunic, and they would free shoot arrows into him as he climbed up the castle wall.
My God.
And this is $7 in a sack lunch. And I thank God for the union. You know, I mean, it's...
I thought that was the union rate.
Well, no. I mean... This was unprotected.
No, I know, I'm kidding.
But it's, you know, that sounds extreme, but it's kind of, we need...
Well, there were those kinds of extremes. I mean, you know, the way children were worked on the sets back then, you know, there definitely were extremes, and that's what the union is for.
Well, my friend Paul Peterson has told me a lot of stories about being a child actor and some of the pitfalls that go with that. So, well, let's get in a little bit talking about where is the change going to come from? I mean, is it the producers, writers, casting agents? I mean, we're always trying to shake things up a little bit here. All groups are trying to do that, but as it relates to people with disabilities, performers with disabilities.
I think it has to keep coming from the performers themselves and doing what they can to be out there. But, you know, we definitely need the power of the union behind us. I mean, we need to be able to get in the room and have these conversations and maybe create a forum for that kind of conversation on an ongoing basis. A forum with casting directors, with producers. You know, some of these big events that we have where we commingle with some of the past supporters, producers, and writers.
At UCLA last year, we
had
a
at
wonderful...
UCLA, exactly. Where we, you know, people like David Milch is showing up, but I think my feeling about that is...
I love Milch because he's really honest, and he's not steeped in all of the lore and literature of people with disabilities. Right. All he wants to do is write a powerful scene, and all we wanted to do is be part of...
Have a chance to audition for that powerful scene, right? Exactly.
And I think he gets that among other people.
Yeah, and I think a lot of the people that come to these things don't want us to, like, you know, Daryl Mitchell, Chill. They don't want us to come off as this sort of group based in pathos, you know, that we have a backbone and that we have, it might be a little skewed, but we have it, and that our voice is not one of pity, but one of strength. And
I see such strength in our group. That's what I rely on. I think in reality, there are those among us, our fellow human beings, who need help, who have very difficult
And I think that's where the union comes in, because it takes people like yourself who head up the PWD committee and come up with an agenda and listen to the people that don't have the voice, that can bring the voice to the union, and then through you and other people on the committee take that voice with the union to the executives in charge of hiring.
Yes, I agree with that.
So that's like a real strong place that the union's role.
I think good work is still the strongest asset we have. You know,
tell that to Marissa Tomei. I mean, she won the Academy Award, and then where did she go for a while?
I
mean, it's always about who wants you in that moment and what they want you for.
Right.
And you have to always be kicking and screaming, I think.
Yeah, and I think you have to always be looking
But don't kick too hard and don't scream too loud.
Well,
you know.
I can kick any way I want to. You know, it's just
you can kick from like 40 yards off. Right.
I can sort of imagine an answer for this, but I have to wait and listen to you.
Well, I want to know what you think my answer is going to be.
Well, you've done a lot. You've really, you know, I've peeked at your resume. I IMDb people all the time, and you've accomplished a lot. But what would you still like to accomplish with your career?
Well, you know, I mean, it's always like when you're a person that's driven. Because you have to be to do
driver?
this. Yes.
Oh,
you have to be driven spiritually, you know,
right.
To be in this business. Because it's, you know, there's a lot of hard stuff that comes along with it. And I think you never feel like you're finished, you know. I mean, I've worked with amazing people, and I've done some amazing stuff. But I certainly don't feel finished. I certainly don't feel even remotely close to. I mean, I've been at it for 20 years now, and I've done everything from live theater to stand-up comedy to live television, tape television,
right.
hour-longs, features, comedies, dramas. I've done it all that stuff, voiceover.
And you want to do more.
And I just want to, my goal is to just keep a steady workload, you know, just keep working like any other guy with a job. I just want to keep at my job. You know, that is my goal. And certainly I want the big stuff.
You'd love to work with that you've never worked with.
Well, I think...
Don't censor.
Well, I know I'm not. There's two right off the bat that come to my head that are my all-time favorites. Gene Hackman is one of my all-time favorite actors. I think he's just phenomenal. But I think one of the most transformative, and I don't want to say underrated, but he's just not as big on the radar as some other actors. Alfred Molina... is maddening to me. He's one of the most amazing people on screen
Completely agree.
Today. So if I got a chance to work with either one of them, you know, these guys would make my life.
Somehow I think I would love to, years from now, look back and say, we had this chat at the midpoint of your career. That would be great.
Yeah, and hopefully I don't come back and go, Alfred Molina was a jerk. You know. No, I'm sure that's not true.
You know, it's funny. Acting is about being in the moment and listening to the person you're with.
Right.
But as actors, I hate to use baseball analogies, but no, I don't hate to.
You love it. What are you kidding me?
But I always wanted to play in the big leagues and be on the starting nine. You know, it wasn't about I have to be the star, I have to be this or that. But I think you have to set goals and say, I'm going to be a working actor. I think those two words are the most beautiful words in the English language, working actor. And I thank you for a lot of the things you're doing to help make that happen. And I'm doing it as well. But you, sir, are going to get the hardware, the Harold Russell Award. And I'm thrilled for you.
It really is. I mean, I told people about it. People know right away who Harold Russell is. And it feels like a very, I mean, it is, but it feels also like this great honor to me, and to be, you know, in the same boat, in the sense as Harold Russell is, to be in that company is, I can't really put it into words, but at the same time, I have to realize that, you know, I can collect the hardware, but it has to be on the mantle in a way that it reminds me to keep doing what I'm supposed to be doing.
I had the chance to meet Harold, and I'll tell you, Harold had to sell his Oscars to pay for his wife's surgery towards the end of her life, and it's, some things are bittersweet, but I'd like to live in the moment and in the future, and I know that's where you're headed, so congrats, bud.
Thank you.
I'm so happy to
Thank
be
you
here
very
with you
much.
today.
Thanks, Dave.